I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Law Firm Owner Podcast, episode number 282. Welcome to the Law Firm Owner Podcast, powered by Velocity Work, for owners who want to grow a firm that gives them the life they want. Get crystal clear on where you're going, take planning seriously, and honor your plan like a pro. This is the work that creates velocity. Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's episode. This is building on what we talked about last week. If you haven't listened to last week's, I would probably go back and listen to that first, but this will stand on its own 2 feet, so it's fine. If you're here and you just want to keep listening, go for it. I would say go back when you can. Building on last week. So last week we talked about you have to believe in the future you are creating. So in order for that to happen, you have to have some clarity about the future that you're creating, the vision. And once you do have some clarity, then it's your job to believe in that vision. Because if you don't believe in that vision, you're not going to do a great job of aligning yourself with the vision because there's doubt or fear or you're not sure or whatever the barrier is. You don't believe, really believe and practice believing that that is what you're creating, period. So we talked about last week how important that is. We talked about that all the decisions day to day today should be aligned with that vision. And if it's not, the decision that you're making is coming from the wrong paradigm. If you kind of think about your current state as one paradigm and where you're headed is another paradigm, you're making decisions from the wrong paradigm. So that's one way I tried to explain it and how important it is to make decisions. Now, the decisions that you make today for the future, for that future paradigm, are typically not easy decisions. Some might be, but generally the decisions are harder. And that's because it's such a paradigm shift. You are making decisions for a future paradigm, for a future vision that you're creating. And those decisions are not comfortable. They tend to be, or just to feel, riskier. It's not your normal. I mean, if there was a normal way you made decisions, you'd probably be where you at the future state that you wanted. But you've been making decisions a certain way and it's gotten you to this point, and that's been fantastic. But as they say, what got you here is not going to get you there. So you have to shift how you're thinking about your day-to-day and the decisions that you make, the way that you show up, the habits and behaviors that you exhibit, all of that. And it starts with mindset. It starts with what is between your ears. And that mental framework that you have that belongs to this paradigm, you have to work your way out of that. You have to exercise your way out of that. So you have to practice new decisions, new ways of thinking, new ways of operating, habits and behaviors that align with that future paradigm, that align with that future vision. And that's not comfortable. There's a reason that it's not your normal. There's a reason that you are where you are. And if you want to shift out of that, you have to keep all of this in mind. A point that I made last week that I feel like is good to start out this week is that a reminder that the future that you have in mind, that you believe in, you don't get to that future without pulling that future into your mental framework. And so this is kind of like saying what I was saying a minute ago, but you have to pull that paradigm into how you think today. That's aligning yourself with that future vision. And when you can do that, you will start to create and be on your way to that future vision, to that next level. You do not get to experience that next level. You do not get to experience that future without making decisions today that align with it. So last week we talked about optimism a bit. You know, it's a bit of an optimistic reality to do that. But I thought too, I should probably reframe. It's not just optimism. It is, right? But it is operating in a reality that is breaking yourself out of your current norm and operating in a way that aligns with a new normal, a new reality, a new set of circumstances. It's just a new vision. And so that felt important to mention. Optimism doesn't always resonate with people. I know people, and I actually had this for a while in my own life. I did not resonate with the word optimistic or like when people would say, "You're so positive." I'd be like, "No, I'm not." Like I have my own head too. Sure, maybe some things I'm positive about, and maybe I present in a way that sounds positive to you, but I also have a blend of both. And so some people don't really identify with optimistic or positive because they consider themselves a realist. Where they're like, well, there's both, and I don't know how it's going to land. They call themselves a realist, but that's actually pretty protective. And the truth is, there's nothing wrong, and there's so much right with being an optimist. And another way to say that is sort of thinking positively about now and the future. So there's nothing wrong with it, but I thought I would just touch on this because people do have a problem sometimes with, if they don't self-identify as an optimist, number one, maybe you should change that. Maybe that's part of this new paradigm, is that you start to consider yourself an optimistic person when it comes to your business and the belief in you getting to the vision that you're creating. Like if you have a belief in the vision you're creating, by definition, that's optimistic. So anyway, that word came up, and I actually was in a conversation with another law firm owner, and they pushed back on that word. But there you have it. There's a little bit around that I wanted to say. But here's the main gist of today's episode that goes along and builds on last week's episode. I want to talk about overthinking, because overthinking, overanalyzing, spinning on something can prevent you from being in alignment with your vision. And I see this a lot. I mean, first of all, I could spot it because I've got it. I overanalyze. I tend to overthink. But generally, at this stage, I catch myself and just realize like this does not have an end that is productive. I need to stop. It's not doing anything. So I could pull myself back, and I have tools, and because of the nature of my job, it's more top of mind for me. But what I've noticed over time is that many of my clients also tend to overthink. And I want to share some things with you today that might help you make the case to yourself for letting go of overthinking. I think there are deep reasons why we tend to overanalyze or overthink. But I will say, sort of one step up from that, it's like one level more surface than that, is the fact that people don't have enough data to be able to show the way. Like if you have a lot of data, it's all laid out in front of you, and you can see, oh, so there's not really a reason to overthink. When you don't have enough facts, your brain will just spin and loop and assume, and it's this spin that there's no payoff for. It never ends well, right? So when you have data, when you have facts, it quiets that part of your brain that is trying to get in and make sense and trying to prove and trying to work out all the avenues and catastrophize, worst case scenario kind of stuff. And then you come back and then you spin back to that. It's this total overthinking of something. And so sometimes it's because, and what would help is if you had more actual facts and data, then your brain would shut up. Here it is. Here it is. Now you may have thoughts about the facts. We will get there. That's coaching, right? But data is a big piece of what helps quiet the mind. Now, if you have data, if you have all the things worked out, then what ends up happening, and when I see overthinking, is we have the current state totally locked in. We're very clear about the current state from a number of different angles for the business and for the owners. And then when we look towards the vision and we map, we sort of decide and get clarity on the future vision and how we want to get there. There's always many ways to get there. And it really depends on the conditions that the owner has for what they want that future state to be like. And based on those conditions, it helps narrow down to a few different paths that are going to make sense for those owners and for that firm. And so then we start to have a look at those and we play the numbers out and we determine, barriers to paths and et cetera. So then we get to the place where it's like, okay, this is the clearest path from the best of our ability that we have mapped. And it's based on a lot of data. It's based on a lot of conversations. It's really important to trust these days where we're doing this because you are in a state of mind and a frame of mind. You are in this level of thinking and it's being facilitated for you that is so powerful. It's so clear, so much clearer than you can usually get on your own. And so there's almost a calmness about, yeah, this is it. Like we can see the things we need to execute on. We're going to go back home. We're going to do this to the best of our ability. It's not going to be easy. This is going to require hard decisions. This is going to require hard, big decisions. And it's going to require hard decisions in the moment for me to make the right call about how I need to show up. Like it's all very clear that there's going to be barriers. It's not going to be a cakewalk. And yet I'm all in. And then people go home and then they start to get into it and they start to get into the work. And this is where the default thinking takes back over. We talked about this last week. And overanalyzation kicks in. Overthinking kicks in. Why did we pick this rock? Why didn't we say X for the vision? Why do I really have to let this person go? I mean, we talked through it. I understand how we got there, but why do I really need to let them go? They're doing all right. You know, that you start to doubt this old paradigm that you've been living in for a while starts to override the new paradigm and where you wanted to be headed and the path that it's going to take to get there. All of this is undermined, totally undermined by the old paradigm. And it is your overthinking is how it will typically present. You will overthink things. You will stew on things. You will ruminate on things. And this overthinking about all of it. And for some people, this is very, very deep. It's very intense. Not only do they think about the things that I just mentioned that, are typically stewing in people's heads who are overthinking everything, but they're overthinking, is this really possible? Were we crazy to map this out? It's like all this doubt creeps in. Now, while that's normal and you're going to have those days where that's rearing its head, you have to understand that your job is to believe in the future state. And so even when you have this overthinking and your gears are just churning in your mind about all of the different things and how maybe you should have thought differently and second guessing the decisions that you made and all of that, you have to remember in those moments, my job right now is to believe hard in the future that I said I was committed to. My job is to be committed. My job is to show up and act like I am committed to that future version. My job is to break through into a new paradigm that's going to be able to deliver this new vision. And sometimes just reminding yourself of that, any one of those sentences, or maybe all of those sentences, but reminding yourself of that is enough to just shut down the voices that tend to get loud for overthinkers. I am an overthinker. I have these voices. Many of my clients are overthinkers. They have these voices. This is about progress, not perfection. It's not about becoming a person that just never has these voices. Everybody does. Everybody has fear and doubt and rethinking, which is a form of waste if you really think about it, but rethinking and retooling and changing your mind and like all of that is sabotage. And like a big sign of it is overthinking. So now is probably a very good time to share or remind, for those of you that already know this, that overthinking is directly correlated with perfectionism, because most of the time people, and I can sniff this stuff when we're working in retreats or when I'm working closely with someone on a call or whatever, you can sniff when they have this perfectionistic tendency, which by the way is very normal for our crew that we work with, right? But you can sniff it because they are trying to find the perfect path. They're trying to find the perfect vision. Like it has to be so right. And I am all for right, but here's the truth. There isn't a perfect path. There isn't a perfect vision. There is a vision that feels very right to you. Now, if someone is articulating a vision and we're doing facilitation for that and we're saying, what else? What else is success to you? What does your life look like? What does the firm look like? What does the work look like that you're doing? What is the vibe inside of the firm? We pull all this stuff out. And when we look through sort of the outcomes of that work together, sometimes someone will say, there's something that's not quite right. That's not perfectionism. That is just being in tune. And I'll ask them, does this feel right? Is there anything missing from this? That's more about just getting more and more in tune with you and what you want. But there are times where people say, no, I think that's it. And they feel really tight around it. No, that's it. And it's almost like they're trying to convince themselves that like, yeah, that works. That's good. And then you start to figure out, okay, how are we going to get from here to there? How are we going to bridge the gap from where we are now to where we're going to go? And when we start talking through that, they are so nitty gritty into the details, like a year out from now. In the next 90 days, there needs to be a lot of specificity and detail because your brain, it needs to be very easy for your brain to just go chick, 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 and just check off the things, you get the execution done. But beyond that, it's not actually helpful. So when they're trying to nail down specificity beyond the 90 days, I mean, hardcore specificity, this is a perfectionistic tendency. It's because they want to prove to themselves that it is the perfect path, that it works out from every angle, that all the math is perfect, that all of it. And what I find and what I show them is that that's not the way to approach this because it doesn't exist. They're not going to find it. They could make the perfect path. And we do make a very good, solid plan. But for instance, if there's a certain revenue number a year from now, let's just say it's 2.5 million. Okay, 2.5 million is the target. And if they cannot see exactly how they are going to create 2.5 million, then they can't set it down mentally. They have to see the whole path with detail in order to believe that 2.5 million is possible. And I'm telling you, I have done those plans and I'm willing with some people to get more granular than others. But the truth is, it doesn't matter how granular you get or not, as long as you're smart, high level, like you're being very smart in terms of projections and things like that. It doesn't matter because no one lands at 2.5 exactly. That's not the point. The point isn't the number. And so the perfectionistic tendencies tend to come out when people are like, oh, that's the number. I am so attached to that number. How in the hell are we going to make sure that we hit that number? It's like, wait a minute. We put in this vision and 2.5 is the target in this vision. But do you understand that you putting in the work to do what you need to do in order to become a $2.5 million firm, in order to create this future vision, it makes it so that 2.5 is inevitable. It may not happen like by December 31st of that year, but it probably will January or February. And so you really just have to understand that it's not about the number and you can't attach this perfectionistic, like I have to hit this by this time. No, it's a done deal. But you have to do the work in order to become a $2.5 million firm. You have to do the work to get out of your current paradigm and get into the next paradigm. And when you do that work, the number is inevitable. I don't know exactly the date you're going to hit it. That's not the point. You're just aligning yourself with the number. So the perfectionistic tendencies tend to come out as overthinking and overanalyzation. So I can correct this. I can right this ship with people. But this is where coaching comes in when they go back home. At some point in the quarter, those tendencies will pop back up. Remember, this is the old paradigm that it will pop back up and it will start to rethink everything. Was this the perfect path? Why did I choose this rock? Was this the perfect rock? And, the rock is so productive and meaning. If you were to get that puppy checked off the list, it would be meaningful to the firm. That's important work. So stop worrying if you should have done another one first or if you should have done this one first. You have a lot to do this year. These are what we decided this quarter. Put your head down and go. Stop overthinking it. When people overthink it, they stop themselves. They are not as productive. They stall. They procrastinate. They put things off instead of just doing the work. So when overthinking presents, you have to understand that it is a form of sabotage. It is not helpful. It is not going to move the needle meaningfully. It is taking away from you in terms of focus. Like you could just be doing the work. Instead, you are overthinking all the decisions that you've made. By the way, and this is a decision. It is a decision to not work and overthink about this and stew on it and maybe not execute because you're not sure it was perfect. You thought it was, but now you're not sure. And it's like you can justify your way out of the work, but that's sabotage. I have a set of clients I've been working with, and I've been working with them for a while. And the progress that they made is remarkable. They, for the last several years, have not grown. Like their revenue hasn't grown at all. They've totally been in a plateau. They don't feel like they should be at a plateau. They knew there were reasons why they were, so they came to work with us. It was a private client relationship. We really dug in. We helped them understand exactly where their business was, and we made plans for a brighter future. And they wanted to grow by 25% in 12 months. Now, that is not unusual for a firm that we are working with to get to. So I'm all in. Like, I see the vision they have. Let's go. So what ended up happening is that the number wasn't hit perfectly at the 12-month mark, but I could see all of the revenue that was scheduled to come in to the firm, payments that were going to be made to the firm, or money that was going to be moved from trust into their OpEx account. And all that money puts them likely over 25% growth at the 15-month mark. So they wanted this all done within 12. They're on track for this 15. And because of what we can see and we can project based on reality, this is not just pie in the sky. We hope you can make this revenue next year in 2025. No. What we can see beyond the 15 is they are never coming back. All the work that they have done in the last year, and some before us, right? Like getting certain kinds of cases in and getting more of those in and working those cases this entire year, developing systems for certain things in their firms so there's more efficiency, hiring the right people, doing the right things. And, this year they have essentially, even though they held with their revenue at the 12-month mark, they stayed at that same plateau, but everything has teed them up. The future is never going to be the same ever as what it has been for years and years and years and years. And I was so thrilled for them. They can see it. I think they wanted to be further in 12 months, but the truth is it's done. The hay is in the barn, as we would have said back from where I'm from. The work that they did got them here, and the money that's coming in over the next 3 months will get them to that 25% growth rate, but that would have taken 15 months. And then from there, next year, the projection is ridiculous. When I say ridiculous, I'm talking like 90% growth rate, which is just like crazy. But these are contingency cases, right? So this is for some of you thinking about that with your hourly or flat fee. It's not the same thing. These are contingency cases. These are cases they've been working up. These are cases they've been working. So now, finally, and mostly contingency fee firm has been plateaued for years. And now they have set themselves up to do something entirely different. They have more efficiency, so they'll be able to handle more capacity. They've worked really hard. They've done the work. But the entire time, they have questioned everything. And they have been focused on where they are, and it's not far enough. It's not enough yet. See, at 12 months, we're still here. See, it's like they're so focused on what they consider to be negatives that they are literally blind to the reality, the inevitability of the future that they wanted to create. They are about to blow that out of the water in a way that they did not think was possible by the end of 2026. And they're going to do it. And so I guess what I'm saying is here, one thing that we really had to work on together was the overanalyzation of everything, the overthinking. It's not even analyzation. It's overthinking everything. It's allowing doubt and fear to swim in their brains and make them doubt themselves. And what wasn't happening enough, which we got really clear on, was that they do not believe in their vision. If they did, they would not be saying the things that they're saying now. They would not be looking for evidence that it's not working. They would be looking for evidence that it is working, because it is, right? It just didn't happen in the 12-month mark. And so this overthinking and we're at this plateau. We are just a firm that's plateaued here. And we do all the math to figure out where they're going to be. And it's, y'all are good. You're good. And then we look out even further. We do the math for 2025, and it's like, you guys are good. By the end of this year, you're going to probably surpass your 25% growth rate that you wanted to see. And you have put yourself on a path to have grown so far beyond that. So can we just stop talking about where you didn't get to in 12 months and focus on where you're headed? That is where the conversation needs to be. You have literally built yourself a new paradigm, but you will absolutely sabotage it if you are not willing to step into that paradigm. If you are not willing to operate from that paradigm, you will stay here. You will sabotage. You don't believe in your future vision, not hard enough. And you are the owners of this firm. So if you don't believe in it, your team's not going to believe in it. Everyone feels a little shaky on it. It's like, well, we'll just do our best. And listen, that will get them pretty far, but it's sabotage. This is just unnecessary. It's unnecessary stewing. It's unnecessary wavering. And it undermines the entire effort to plan forward and have a vision and to see the success. It undermines your success at every point. So that's why this is important work to talk about, because people don't realize this is what's happening. And the way that they think about themselves and the way that they think about the things that are happening and the way that they make decisions is old. But they are trying to build a firm that's at a different place, at a different level, providing a different set of circumstances. It's providing a different future. And if you're trying to get there, you cannot do it with what's got you here. And to these people's credit, they're very open to that. This is a very on the table conversation, really productive conversations we've had. Their awareness is high. It is shifting. They know it's their job to shift into this new way of thinking. Like they have to have a focus on mindset, and they're doing a lot of work there, and they're doing a very good job. But it took a while for us to realize like really what was going on. And once we did, we can address it and get underneath it and hold space for that vision no matter what, and let it trump, not their skepticism and cynicism, quite honestly. And cynicism is dark, it's an unhealthy thing to bring to your journey to shaping your reality for your vision. Cynicism is not really a welcome participant. Skepticism, we can work with. It's something that we can juggle and shape and shift and more easily get out of. But it's this thinking that's not helpful. It's a mindset that's not helpful that produces like your own barriers and your own spin and your own stress and your own anxiety about what? Like really with the example I just gave you, can you imagine? Outside looking in, it's easy, right? But really put yourself in that set of shoes. Can you imagine you've had the same result for so many years and you've done a lot of work and you didn't see it within 12 months. And so your brain just goes to we're just stuck here. See? And then it's like you don't even let yourself see the possibility. We painted this future vision. Do you believe in that or not? And if you don't, you have to stop and ask yourself, why don't I believe in this? And if I don't believe in this, is it worth doing? My job is to believe in this. How can I believe in this? What do I need to do in order to be able to believe in this? And when you really believe hard in something, the cynicism doesn't come up. The skepticism doesn't come up because it's just not useful. Now, questioning and evaluating and looking at data, useful. Asking questions, being open, being curious about solutions, about barriers that you could hit, useful. But skepticism and cynicism about it unfolding is unuseful. So catching yourself with this, and it usually presents as overthinking, catching yourself with this is important because if you don't really have an awareness that it's happening, you can't do anything with it. If you do have an awareness that it's happening, then you can work with it. And I don't mind working with it. This is just, I love humans. I love human behavior. I love people who decide to go for things. And even if they do doubt themselves afterwards, that's normal. But that's my job, is to really step in and say, yo, we're going to work on this together. And your cynicism needs to be checked at the door. So let's talk about what it's going to take in order for that to be true. Let's talk about what you're forgetting that you need to remember that would squash that cynicism pretty quickly. Let's talk about, what kinds of questions you need to be asking yourself regularly, high quality questions that will allow you to be in alignment with this vision instead of stewing on what's not happened yet, right? Like that's not helpful. So I love working with this, and I really love working with it in my realm because I won't do it without data. I will not do it if we do not have numbers to look at and some facts to hold in our hands and be able to look at from different angles. And then we can make a good plan. And then you try to poke holes in the plan that we've already poked holes in. We've already tried to think through all the barriers, all the things we may encounter. And then you, with your cynicism, you try to poke holes in. It's like, no. We already did that. You're not believing hard enough anymore. Can we just back up? And let's go again. Like, let's reset here. And I think it's important to have that accountability. I think it's important to have someone outside objective to say, wait, what? Like, we're not doing that. I'm willing to entertain barriers. I'm willing to entertain things that could go wrong. I am willing to entertain all of that so we can anticipate and be ahead of the game. I am not willing to entertain a mindset that is unhelpful to all of the work we are doing. And so let's chat about that. Where do we need to start? What needs to be reframed so that your mental framework is on board? Okay, now I have another client that I have in my head that I'm going to share a bit here so you can see the other side of things. There's another private client, and she will, all caps, she will achieve whatever she sets her mind to. It is a decision on her part. She looks at that future vision. She thinks through it. She gets facilitated with it. She looks at it, and that puppy is now. Like, she is living in that future vision. Every decision she makes is aligned with it. Some people are just more naturally inclined. Everybody is capable of aligning themselves with that future vision. Hard, in a really great way. But some people, this woman that I'm thinking of, is living it out to the best of her ability today. And she has data. She looks at the full picture. So it's not that she's, spending money she doesn't have. That's not what I'm saying. She is making decisions that align with that future vision. And if it does not, it does not get made. Even if it feels like there'd be a short-term win or a bit of a compromise just for some relief right now, but it's really not in line with that future vision, she won't make it. So she is someone who plays the long game very well and is uninterested in playing the short game. And it's pretty impressive to see. Like, she is one of those people, you believe her when she tells you she's going to hit the goal. You believe her. She believes herself. She believes hard in it. Her entire team feels it. People can rally around it. They get in line. And if they don't, they can leave. She has zero tolerance for a day-to-day existence that isn't in alignment with the future that she wants to create. The difference between the first scenario and the second is mindset. And mindset is something that can be developed. You can develop that to something that serves you better. So this is not looking at two different clients and saying one is better than the other. It's just showing you what happens and how fast everything happens when your mindset is attuned to the future vision and you believe hard in it. If you don't believe hard in it, you're going to sabotage it. You're going to overthink. You're going to have skepticism and be cynical and waste time because you could be executing, but you're not executing. You're doing something else. And the other side of that is you believe so hard in it. You just put your head down and you go. You don't make decisions that don't line up with it. You don't waste time. You are responsible with your calendar. You're willing to put in the work and you're willing to not overanalyze it in the middle of a quarter. Then we get back in the room at the retreat, and that's the space to debrief and to look back and say, man, that was not the right way to do that. I didn't know that. I thought I was making a decision. Okay, lesson learned. That is something that doesn't, like the way that I made that decision doesn't align with the future. Got it. And you can keep moving forward. But in between quarters, you put your head down and you work. We don't get very far off track. It's only one quarter. So if you're doing something that's going to provide a lesson learned, like you could have done it differently, you should have done it differently, we're going to find that out at the retreat. So you don't need to be scared that you're just going to be down this wrong path and down a rabbit hole. You're not. We won't let that happen, right? So, where the overthinkers, the people that don't believe as hard in the vision, they want to, but they don't believe as hard in it. They are the ones that tinker more in the quarter and they let the busyness take over and they don't actually complete the things that they said they would do. It's because they just didn't get to work. They were busy, but they didn't get to work on the stuff that they said they would do in order to put them on the right path. And it really does come down to belief. If you believe in that future vision and you align yourself with it, that is so important and it's who you are, then your vision becomes your reality much more quickly and much less painlessly, but never without pain. I should be clear about that. None of this is a cakewalk. Guys, you all know that. Owning your business is not a cakewalk. There are things to navigate. There's tough things to go through. There's hard decisions that need to be made. It's just tough. It can be stressful. It can really weigh on you. And most of the people I work with, they really wouldn't have it another way. So it's really just about optimizing that journey for yourself. So it's never a cakewalk, but we can make it a lot harder on ourselves if we don't have clarity, if we don't have commitment to that vision, if we don't believe in that vision. And sometimes we need a facilitator and a coach to get ourselves there, like clarity, facilitation, and then coaching, which is staying on the right track, and the mindset and behaviors and habits, which all stem from your mindset. So both are really important. And the whole gist of last week and this week is believing hard in your vision, believing in the future that you are setting out to create. And that level of belief really requires you to enter into a whole new paradigm. And that's not easy, but it's totally possible. And it makes life fun. This is where you create your dreams. This is where dreams come to life. This is where you turn your dreams into goals and then you move towards them very quickly. That's fun. That is fun. And even when it's hard, you would rather not be just working for somebody else. You'd rather see what's possible. You'd rather go the distance and learn and grow and create that vision that you believed in. All right, everybody. I hope you got something good from these. It's deep work. It's rewarding work, not just for me and helping clients, but it's rewarding work for the clients and for the members. And it's such an honor to be a part of it. I enjoy every minute of it. So yeah. All right, everybody, take away something. Take away something, one thing, and you could throw the rest out the window. What resonated? Noodle on this for yourself. If you want to work with us on this, if you want all of this and all of the stuff beforehand, that before you can even get to this work, you have to have clarity, you have to have data, you have to have vision, all of that, then come and talk to us. Go to velocitywork.com. You can book a consult. You can go to velocitywork.com/Melissa, and you can also book a consult there. We would love to talk to you. All right, everybody, have a wonderful week. I'll see you here next Tuesday. Hey, you may not know this, but there's a free guide for a process I teach called Monday Map, Friday Wrap. If you go to velocitywork.com, it's all yours. It's about how to plan your time and honor your plans so that week over week, more work that moves the needle is getting done in less time. Go to velocitywork.com to get your free copy. Thank you for listening to the Law Firm Owner Podcast. If you're ready to get clearer on your vision, data, and mindset, then head over to velocitywork.com where you can plug in to quarterly strategic planning with accountability and coaching in between. This is the work that creates velocity.